Hello and welcome to the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club. With 4 race starts, we're going to start with our Category 4 riders, then 3, 2 and 1. Our riders lined up in yellow, that is our Category 1 riders. In green, our Category 2. In blue, Category 3 and Category 4.
Only 1.6 kilometres into this 45-kilometre race, and it is Moreno who is pushing on. And they're not chasing. They are not chasing Moreno. He's had enough of the talk about firing into space, and he's firing on all cylinders at the moment because Tim Cutler's come up and over the top. So X100 and Cutler are the 2 riders pushing on.
Big out of the saddle. He's at 61 revs per minute. He went clear. He's climbed the mountain alone. He's going to come up through the line. Qualifier number 1, your race winner. It's Michael Bing. He's got the kick. He timed it right. Tactical master plan has paid off. It's Pablo Popovic. He solos into the gantry. What a ride. Pablo Popovic, your number 1. He's going to hit the dip. He's going to hit the riser. He's got the pace. He's got the speed. It's going to be Daniel Gomez who's going to come and take victory.
Knudsen pushes early. So Knudsen's pushed at 9 watts per kilo. He absolutely adamantly wants the win today in the final from Popovic. Knudsen sees that finish line. He's going to cross the line. Knudsen is going to take the win today.
Hello and welcome to the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club. It's a new month. It's June. It's qualifier race number 1. We're here in the studios putting words to all of the action. My name Matt Payne, and with me in the studio is
Emma Martin.
And Emma, good to be with you once again for more racing. We had a great month last month in May, some brilliant race action, and we're going back to a course that we've used before, aren't we? Which I think for me is a real Marmite course.
Well, we are in Colombia today, and you are correct. We have indeed used this course before. It was qualifier race number 1 in May. So we are back to a phenomenal 45 kilometres of racing today. Now, 2 main climbs in the 45k today, 914 metres of climbing in total. A Category 2 climb, and then another Category 2 climb, the first climb coming at 21.9 kilometres into this race. It's 5.5 kilometres long with an average gradient of 6%. And then at the top of the climb, we've got a small run of pretty flat nature. And before we start the second Category 2 climb, now that is 14.2 kilometres in length with an average gradient of 3.6%. So a long final climb. It's not as steep as the first one, but they do come in conjunction with each other. Now, 7 segments along the way.
There are indeed 7 segments, each individually timed on the way through. Remember, the segments will give us a snapshot of who's going where, what, where, and when. It doesn't, however, give you any prizes. Prizes for each of our categories. Category 1 in yellow, Category 2 in green, Category 3 in blue, and Category 4 in red. Who are our first starters? As always, they get the head start. There's 5 minutes between Category 4 and 3, 10 between 3 and 2, and 5 minutes between 2 and 1. So the first riders away will be our riders in Category 4. Our Red Furies are back again. I love the Red Furies team. Always up for some serious action. We've got Adriano Zanaska, who's a real character, an absolute legend. I hope I'm as fast as he is at his age.
Well, absolutely. Now, 36, I'm going to say that again, 36 riders in Category 4 today. We've got 4 large categories today representing our riders. So we have a absolutely stacked field. So Gonsulin, Kamesh, Astorga is in here, Villarda, Noack, Mamba, Pledger. We've seen phenomenal riding by all of these riders previously. So I think all of our road races are going to be really interesting today. But Category 4 is going to be really good as well.
I think Category 4 is going to be a real humdinger. And of course, we climb the mountain up to the Paso del Alto. Let's watch our riders. They're all lined up. Their turbo trainers will soon be exchanged for spinning wheels as they head out on the screens.
So we're in with Luca Barlow as the gun goes down. We are away on the Sunday Race Club for June. This is qualifier race number 1. We are in Colombia, and that is one large pack of category 4 riders up and out of the start pen. So Astorga and Ramos are pushing on at the front now. Historically, Ramos, one of our renowned fast starters. And you can see the stretch on that category 4 pack already, as it is indeed Ramos kicking out of the start pen. A rider who loves a fast start. Astorga going with him today.
I'll tell you something, if only my race form had been as predictable as Astorga's race starts with Ramos with him, because the pair of them really tend to just go for it. And maybe this is the Ramos effect, we should call it. It should be a known thing of basically absolutely nailing it from the start and really putting people under pressure. And this course, it is flat. We're coming in through, you've got the mountains to the sides. It's deceptive, isn't it? We've got basically a few bumps, and the bumps that come up, don't be mistaken, they're not hills that are coming up, are they? They are actually the transfers over the bridges, over the rivers, on the way into the mountain. And this open, wide open terrain will soon disappear. We'll go into the lush vegetation, and then we pop over those bridges, and they are points where we've seen people push on and just squeeze. And if you're on your limit, when you hit those little bridges, it can make a difference and it can break the group. So our category 4 riders away, 1 kilometre covered, 1 minute 40 on the clock, and moving quite nicely. 2 riders on the front, containing Ramos and Astorga, about to get pulled back, but this group coming together.
They are indeed, and you're right about those little bridges, Matt. We've seen attacks come from there and attacks stick from there before. So whilst they might seem quite innocuous, sometimes they do indeed make the play.
Yeah, there you go. That's a good description.
Well,
I like to make the play, because they can, and it's being smart, isn't it? It's knowing where to take your chances, where to pick your moment to go, where to choose to push on.
yeah, absolutely. So Astorga and Ramos now being caught by the rest of the pack, and that entire category 4 pack all now coming back together 1.5 kilometres into this 45-kilometre race today.
Our riders, well, they've got a little bit of time before they hit segment number 1. Segment number 1 coming between 4 kilometres and 6.5 kilometres, and that'll be our first real indicator of how our riders are going. However, I suspect by the time we get there, we'll also have category 3 on the move as well. Remember, those segments are individually timed. Prizes, of course, for each category, so for category 1, 2, 3 and 4 respectively. Biggest prizes in category 1 as the fastest and the ones that produce the quickest time normally.
Yeah,
Not
absolutely.
always.
Now, we did do a little bit of totting up actually throughout May. So 13 riders in the top 5 in Cat 1, 16 in Cat 2, 13 in Cat 3 and 8 in the top 5 in Cat 4 throughout the month of May, which means a total of 50 riders took prize money away in May on the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club.
That is absolutely brilliant, isn't it? So those prizes going out to all of those riders, and fantastic to see that these riders are there making the most of the platform, and you can join them as well, so please do jump on board. Category 4, fast approaching 2.5 kilometres. Category 3, they're down on the start line. There are next riders due to go. Category 3 in the blue, and as you can see, we have the Lackey team, we have the team from the Moretta's bike, and we have the Meddling Cat 3. And Meddling Cat 3, well, they should feel right at home here in the South American continent.
Well, you know, we do indeed have riders moving up from Category 4 into Category 3, giving us a total of 33 riders in Cat 3 today. So Elos moving up, Maillard moving up, joining the likes of Gake and Winfield, Smythe and Staples. Dadson is in here. So is Demanuan and Elos. Now, really strong race field. And it's going to be interesting to see what those Category 4 riders can do now they've progressed to Category 3.
So let's see what they can do, taking on the likes of a Drummond in here. This is category 3. This is qualifier race number 1. It's MyWhoosh, it's the Sunday Race Club, and we are good to go. And off they set. This is when they've got to let the legs do the talking. We have one monstrous mountain to climb that comprises of 2 time segments up that climb. Who has got the pace? Who's got the power to stay with the group on the flat? Who's got the climbing legs and can ascend like an angel as we head up to the Paso del Alto?
Well, absolutely. And we're in with Gakes at the moment, tightly in that group. Now, this pack have all come out together. There is a steady pace on the front, nobody putting in a big kick like we saw in that Category 4 pack. This group content to roll out of the start pens together.
I really love this scenery. I was just reveling in it there.
It is quite stunning, actually, isn't it? And what a way to start. You know, the wide open green space, the road rolling ahead, Winfield in here, tightly in the pack with Ospina and Zabata. Roncalli is in here as well. So this pack all moving together out clear of the pen and well and truly now out into the open space and on the open road.
I'll tell you something, it's very reminiscent. It's almost like I grew up going up to the Lake District in the UK, and you've got this sort of pass working its way through. You weave your way in between these big craggy mountains with the scree slopes rolling down the side. You sort of feel almost hemmed in, then you move into the lush valleys. This really is very similar here, just a lot greener, a lot bigger, a lot harder. And if they're focusing on the scenery like we are at the moment, they're not doing the racing bit, because really you shouldn't be able to do that. You should be focused on the race, because somebody could put in a kick. Now we're heading for a bridge on Category 4. This is one of those little bumps in the road. There are 3 small bridges plus 1 bigger bridge on the way through. The little ones have a nice little steep kick in. You can see them going at 6.3% as you go into them, and then we drop back out the other side, just in with Efraim Mamba at the moment, just making sure he's not dropped down out of position, as is Jan Decker, Arrego and Schoberg doing exactly the same. Get on the wrong side of a split, maybe 2 or 3 of you not paying attention on the wrong side of that bridge coming off the other side. You're going to have to work to come back. It's all energy you're using.
Well, it is indeed one of those things you need to watch out for, because these bridges now do come in quick succession. And whilst it is absolutely pan flat on the run into these bridges and between the bridges, you know, positioning is key in the pack, because we can just see a rider there off the back of the group and having been caught out by that small kicker. So that whilst you think they look innocuous, they are not. They can indeed split the group, and you really do need your wits about you, or you need to put a big kick in like some of our riders are doing at the moment at the back of the group to close it back down and to not be left behind.
I'll tell you something, it really is interesting move there. David Nowak going on the attack here. He's going up onto this next bridge here. You can see him quickly up and over. And at the moment, as he kicks on here, Finati is the rider who is chasing at the moment. Finati running for the Red Furies, quickly on to the offensive. But it's Alex Pleasure who makes that junction, goes over the top. Big power there.
Take a look at that red lighting up the screen there. It is massive power coming out of these Category 4 riders. Now, it is interesting, isn't it? And that's because well-named riders are on the front of this group, and it's stretching it out as Pleasure and Nowak are in 1 and 2. Nunes and Soberg are there. Mamba is there, and Moleno. Now, these are the riders the pack need to pay attention to, because we will start to see riders get distanced off the back of the group, and that is what is going to happen if Nowak and Pleasure have their way.
And remember, the Red Furies team, Zaneska and Finati, can talk to each other because they are on communication. Everybody else on the voice channel will be able to talk to each other. You can set it so that it either talks when you want to press the button, or that it's on all the time. And you can listen all the time when you turn it off. But key is going to be communication. Now we are on to our next run over the bridge. You can see 2 riders, Pleasure and Nowak, with a gap of 4 seconds here. This is pretty dangerous stuff by the group. I know that they can pull them back, and they know they can pull them back, and Nowak and Pleasure will know they can be pulled back, but it's doing damage to the group behind. The back of that group are having to respond, and the part of that is that time lag. on the way through. If you are the first rider, we've all done it in a group. If you've ridden in a group, you go into a corner. The first rider in the corner gets the optimum moment in and out. The first time you hit a bump, you get that up and over. You get to be able to do that. Aaron here really pushing on, looking to try and get back across 5 watts per kilo here. He's going to get across to Pleasure. Every time you hit a bump, further back you are, the harder it is to get that timing right.
Well, you know, 36 riders in this Category 4 race today. That is a lot of competition. And Pleasure and Nowak absolutely nailing it at the start here to try and break the group up. Now they've got 3 seconds. Aaron has just joined them. So a group of 3 now at the front, 5 seconds now back to the group, but it's a huge group behind. And to be realistic, other than these bridges, it is pretty flat until we get to the 21.9 kilometre mark, which is the start of our first Category 2 climb today.
And there is a chance this group will go clear because there is a mindset behind, that the riders behind are going to go, do you know what? We've loads of time. There's this huge mountain in front. Why would we go hard chase them now? Well, they're going to put themselves at risk, and they are at risk of being left and the gap really opening up. Now, you can see a Pleasure and Nowak now on their own. It looks like Aaron just having to stop. There may well be that's why he put an attack in. He's gone clear, knowing that he's going to jump off. Could be a drop bottle. It could be having to pick up the phone. Let's take a look, see if he gets back in. That's the right-hand side of your screen. So 2 leaders now in Category 4. Left-hand side of your screen, and this is Category 3. It's still one big group. They're at 3.9K. And this still seeing most of the big names, people like Tom Gates in here, Mark Dadson, Ian Lloyd in here. You can just see that we've got Spina in here, Smize in here, Alejandro in the mix, Drama still in here, nicely tucked in. But this is not as big as when we started out, by no means.
No, we've seen riders drop off the back of this group now, but everybody who is a contender is in this group. They've made this split as they come into this bridge. Now, this is the first of the bridges that we've seen in the Category 4 race. We've seen the Category 4 race expand like a concertina and then come back together again up and over these bridges. But what we haven't got in this Category 3 race is a huge push coming on the front. Now, Elos is on the front here. Now, Elos, interestingly, has come up from that Category 4 race field for the first time, taking a Category 3 start for the first qualifier in June. So Elos finding himself at the front of the Category 3 pack. Florian Dromard is in here. So is Ian Lloyd, Calangad, Tortoretto, Mancini is in here as well. Dadson is here too. So all the riders we would expect to see, but this is a huge pack of Category 3 riders, 33 riders on the start sheets today. And there are a lot of those riders still in this pack.
And if I was in this group, I would want to start thinning this down, I think. I want to start chucking some people off the back of this group, really just getting them out of the way, pushing them back, getting them out, lose them, put them under pressure. Let's see how they get on with that as they continue onwards. Category 4 and 3 well underway. Next up is Category 2. Now, this traditionally has been a fiercely fought category, but that's pretty much the case of all of our categories now. So Category 2, the penultimate category to set off from our start here. They are lined up and ready. You can just see Burkhead and Michael Suarez down in the mix there. And 2 of the riders who we really do know that we need to watch out for. And, of course, people like Hassan Al-Ramethri as well.
Yeah, well, Al-Ramethri is a consummate climber, and this is the type of finish today that would really suit him. But 32 riders on Category 2 today, and some names moving up and names moving down. So Bjarhead is in here today, Kranich, Spratt, Michael Suarez, Oviedo, Baltazar is in here, Von Haren, Philip Graves in Category 2 today, as well as Carvajal and Al-Ramethri. So I think this is going to be, well, as I mentioned before, taking a look at our start sheets today, all 4 categories strongly competitive. But our winner from the May finals, Che Holwiller, moving up to Category 1 today.
And that leaves a slot for somebody else to take his place. Who's it going to be? Well, not long for our riders to show us that they are the man of the moment. who's going to be on that top spot.
So as we are in with the countdown on the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club, our Category 2 riders, the power has gone down and the race is underway. They are up, they are out, and they are out of the start pens and moving on to the course proper. This is our Category 2 race and the pack are rolling.
So here we go. This is the run, and we're in with Michael Suarez, 115 beats per minute, so not that high at the moment. And we see the revs, so 92. If you compare that to Phil Graves, Graves are dropping down into Category 2 from Category 1, and has to be a contender.
Well, I would say so. It's going to be really interesting to see what he can do here. Now, Graves well known in the Category 1 race for constant attacking early on.
But in the first hour.
Absolutely. But then what tends to happen, particularly on those courses where there's a long mountain finish,
he blows his socks off.
He does indeed. But always part and parcel, and has always traditionally been part and parcel of the early action in that Category 1 race. So it's going to be really interesting to see what he chooses to do in this Category 2 race field, as Cadiz is the rider who is pushing on at the front now. Now we are on a flat section, not even 1 kilometre into this race, and Cadiz 7 watts per kilo. Now that is an effort coming out. Simeons is the rider closing the gap. Von Haren is there, so is Nicholas Spratt. Now Spratt is one of our strong Category 2 riders. We see him in the mix when it's a sprint finish in particular. Can we see him in the mix today?
Well, I think this is going to be really interesting. Spratt's got to be loving this course. He's already looking to wind this up. And I think if you were somebody who has been regularly in Category 2, with this big reshuffle, with these changing of riders moving up and down category, with a really good look at the categories and real change through, you know that it's going to be really competitive. You know that you really want to thin this out quick. And that's what's happening in Category 2 today. I mean, you've got Olivier Simmons in here, Nicholas Spratt, Daniel Cadiz, Van Haren, all pushing Giuliano as well.
Yeah, well, we had such a flurry of new riders join us throughout April and May on the Sunday Race Club. Now, all new riders dropping into Category 1, and we saw Category 1 up to 70 to 80 riders at one point with those new riders joining us. Now, what does happen is those new riders join Category 1 for 3 or 4 weeks until the verification of their numbers can take place. And once that has happened, the algorithm and the team behind the scenes then allocate the rider to the correct category, and that is why we are seeing these 4 categories today with a large number of riders in them, because the rider allocation has taken place. And
it's that time lag between the accumulation of data and then it coming through. So as that data accumulates, that takes time. Lots of people join us for the MyWhoosh Championships. Please do make sure you go back and watch that. I'm already looking forward to next year. We've already been planning for it here at Full Speed Invest with Emma and myself. We're really looking forward to that. Just got to keep our fingers crossed that we all follow the same format. I'm sure there'll be some brand new innovations, but absolutely loved it. And it was great putting with on watching the riders as we moved through from
having a multi-day stage race was just phenomenal.
Absolutely brilliant. Really looking forward to that. So please do go have a watch back. And a lot of the people that you see here, seeing Category 4, just go shooting past Category 2 in the opposite direction. We're out and riding in that. And those riders joining us now, and that is taking its effect with riders coming in. Does mean, of course, as the riders have moved out, Category 1 has gone from being a huge field of 80 to 90 riders. And whilst we still have our teams, the Beast Mode putting powered by Rose team, the Italian Gelatos, and of course the ever-present UAE Clan team, we have got a reduction in rider numbers in Category 1, which means better odds for everybody who's left.
Well, 44 riders taken to the start sheets in Category 1 today, and Paradians is here, Fawcett, Van Elst, Safrazad is back. Now, Tim Cutler is here. He had a great ride on this course in Colombia last time, finishing 3rd. Nair is here, Vujasin, Holweller has moved up, Kaminsky, Bjorkland, Noren is here, Vink, Popovic, Knudsen, and X100, and it was Vink and Knudsen who took the 1-2 on this course last time.
I think this is going to be an absolute cracker because this is a tough course. So here we go. time for Category 1 to make their way off from the line. We're into the final 10 seconds. This is about getting the power down. This is about being in contention. It is qualifier race number 1 on the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club, away and rolling. We're in with Michael Knudsen as the pack take the tight left turn and onto the course proper. This a fast rolling start, critical to stay in the bunch. Not going to be 90 riders, it's 44 riders down on those start sheets, and already we're seeing Tim Cutler right up at the front, somebody who we know is going to be aggressive from the start. Che Howeiler right up here. Good to see Ross Force in here. Ross actually sending us in where he's riding today. Ross is in the mountains. He's doing this outside in the awning of his RV, basically, as he's out and around. Brilliant setup, great to see. Thank you very much, Ross, for sending in. Don't forget, we want to see where you're riding. If you're riding in the groups, if you're riding on MyWhoosh, make sure you tag in at Matt Fixer Paint, tag in at Biking Emma, tag in MyWhoosh, send us those pictures. We want to see what you're up to. If that is the best pain cave with a 10,000 meter long, 10k wide big screen with your own surround sound and cinema setup, or whether you're sat with your iPhone in the middle of nowhere being able to ride on MyWhoosh.
Did you just say a 10-kilometer wide screen?
I did. It was big.
Okay,
that was the point.
We are exaggerating the size of your setup, but
I never said I had that. I should be so lucky.
Please do send us those pictures, and it's fantastic to see people taking us on their travels with them, and the fact that we have got very different setups in very different places all over the world. Now we are in with this Category 1 group, and they are being led out by David Talbot, SS Miller, Daan Paradians is in here, so is Van Elst. Now, some great riding from Van Elst, third in our finals last week. So obviously one of the riders on form today.
Indeed, and looking good. So all 4 of our race categories away and rolling, looking good. Good to see we've got Saeed Safrazad in here. Now, Saeed Safrazad, we've seen on the race club many, many times, and he's a rider who has been actually out doing some racing. He was racing in the Tour of Turkey. He was racing on the mountain bike as well at a venue that Emma and I know very well at Sakarya in Turkey. It's also the home actually of the XCE, and it's going to be the home of round 2 of the UCI BMX World Cup. And,
today.
That's today, and a bit later today, I'll be putting words to the action to that. Looking forward to that with another of our commentary team, Richie's, and that's going to be an absolute cracker. And good to see Saeed coming back after racing in such a cracking venue, and now he's racing in an equally cracking one, because of course he's now here and on to the slopes of Colombia, and he's out and racing on MyWhoosh in Category 1. This though, Category 2. This is our current duo who have broken clear slightly.
Absolutely. So Spratt and Simmons, they're 3 seconds down the road from the chasing group in Category 2. Moises, Baltazar and Biarhead are leading the group here. Giuliano and Ospina in here too. This is a huge field here. So a big group of Category 2 riders chasing our 2 leaders as they move into the next bridge and push on there. Now leading our Category 1 pack is Kaminsky with Daan and Cutler. SS is watching the field too, so is Fawcett and Vujasin. Bjorkland is there as well. This pack have gone out nearly, I say nearly altogether, because on the top right hand corner of your screen you can see a split in that Category 1 group and a group behind chasing this leading pack.
Yeah, we've seen 1 or 2 riders being distanced, haven't we? And that is just because of the pace. And not everybody gets verified at the same time, because, of course, some people join later than others, and that data comes through, as we were talking about earlier on. At the moment, I think this is going to be very interesting. Yusuf Al-Hamadi in here, and good to see Al-Hamadi in racing with this Category 1 pack. Paradis in here. We've got Rob Miller in from the States on here, and riders from across the globe racing here on MyWhoosh on the Sunday Race Club. So Rob Miller at the moment, 140 beats per minute. David Darning here, 156 beats per minute. But look who is already stretching his legs. The one and only Michael Vink looking to stretch his legs out. And remember, Vink, top class or world class professional on the World Tour circuit, and that is the level of rider you're up against when you're racing on MyWhoosh.
Well, Michael Vink sporting a Knudsen haircut today. So Vink now pushing on. Vujasin is the rider closing it down. Michael Knudsen, Vink's teammate in 3, just watching Vujasin's wheel. So Vujasin not allowing Vink to get away this early. I think if Vink thought he could get clear within the first 5 kilometres of this race, he was deluding himself, but he's not a man to delude himself about his own ability, because he knows this course well, having won here last time out. So the pack all pulling Vink back in and coming back together again after that bridge. Now we've got a concession of bridges coming up, all very, very similar to the one we have just transitioned over, with flat sections in between. And we are seeing riders drop off the back of this group. So as we continue to move these pushes, not doing damage to the front of the group, but they are indeed doing damages to the back of the group.
Yeah, it's all about that attrition of riders distancing people on the way back out. Looking really interesting.
So as our Category 1 pack now move through into segment number 1, that was indeed the blue banner. Our first segment today between 4 and 6.5 kilometres. So it's a 2.5 kilometre segment, giving us an indication of the pace of the groups that are moving on the road. Currently the fastest time through segment number 1 held by Category 2, and that's Oliver Simmons, 3 minutes 43 seconds. So let's take a look and we will see whether our Category 1 pack are moving faster than our Category 2 pack. Now, whilst we would expect them to be the fastest riders on the road, it does not always happen that Category 1 comes out the start pen the fastest. Now, Category 1 on the top left-hand side of your screen, a large group of riders. Category 2, 20 riders in that pack at the moment. Category 3 is a group of around 25 riders. But Category 4, that is indeed Alex Pledger. Pledger attacked early on, and look at that. He is a lone leader at 16.3 kilometres into the race.
Yeah, Pleasure on the move, 16.3 covered. And remember, we hit the mountain just before we hit 22 kilometres. But Michael Vink stretching his legs early here, and he's more than capable, we know, of soloing away from the group where he's got a mountain to attack. Very, very interesting. Let's see how the riders go, who is going to chase. And in some ways, this is really, really indicative. Who wants to respond quickly? Who's on the move after him? Are we going to see an interesting tactic? We've seen it before from the UAE Clan team, where they try and put most of the team up the road in one go. Very, very interesting tactic to try and play. And this is the sort of course you can play it.
Well, this is really interesting, isn't it? So last time out, it was Vink, Knudsen and Cutler, the 1, 2, 3. But Vink, this is the second attack Vink has made. You know, the first attack came within 5k. This is 5.5 kilometres now, race distance done. 45 kilometres, let's not forget today. The winning time last time out on this course was 1 hour 17 minutes by Vink himself. Now, the question is Vink looking for an hour individual time trial practice today? Because, you know, if I was the pack behind, do you want to waste your legs pushing and to catch Michael Vink this early when it's likely he was going to attack at the 20 kilometre mark anyway as we go into those 2 Category 2 climbs?
Yeah, it's tricky, isn't it? I think the problem you have, I mean,
it's his teammate doing the chasing now.
Well, is it chasing or is it putting the pressure on?
Well, that's it.
We've still got a long way to go. We're at 6k, 22k till we hit the mountain. You want some support up there. Well, you're not necessarily going to get the team as a break, but you are putting people. Look at the group behind. We're seeing splits, we're seeing gaps, we're seeing people under the rivet trying to close down, trying to pull the bunch back into some kind of shape. And it's constantly making people work.
But it's interesting, isn't it? Because if I was the UAE Clan team, I wouldn't be sending Vink as the first rider down the road, because a lot of these riders go, well, Michael Vink's gone. oh well, we're racing for second, and they would just sit up in the pack. I would have been sending somebody else down
But
the road.
if that happens, then you've got Vink taking away the win.
Well, you have, but just interesting that Vink is the rider to have pushed on so early.
Well, I don't think you can stop him. He can't help it. Remember, he is a world-class pro riding on the UAE team. You know, he's on that UAE Emirates team. He is a rider who has been working through classics. He's been on tours. He is, you know, he's absolutely top class, and that shows. I mean, look at the time through there. He's sort of soloed his way in through 3 seconds through segment 1 faster than anybody else.
Yeah, well, it is interesting, isn't it, that we can see those times on that first split now. And Vink going through in 3:35. And we're seeing Mirza Al Hamadi come through in 2, Walter in 3, Popovic 4, Safrazad 5, Talbot 6, Miller 7, Mayer in 8th, Bjorklund in 9th, and Knudsen in 10th. 4 seconds separating those top 10, but that's really that 3 to 4 second gap that Vink has and established on everybody through that section. So Vink continuing to push on, 3 second gap back. It's his teammate Knudsen with SS on the front. Volk has just come through, so has Fawcett and Cutler to man the front of that group as this Category 1 pack continues to push on. Category 2 pack on the right hand side of your screen, 20 riders in this Category 2 pack.
Just keeping an eye on these riders here. I'm just watching. I always think this course is really good. Now, we talked about Marmite course, and I've just had a couple of messages in. What is Marmite? So great to see people watching live and actually listening to us. What is Marmite? Okay, so Marmite is it's a bit like a spread that you would place. You basically would wield with a knife. You would spread it on something like toast. Basically grilled bread. So you would spread it on there on top of something like butter or margarine or something. It is basically a yeast extract. It is very bitter. It is very salty.
Like Vegemite in Australia.
It's like Vegemite in Australia. It is an incredibly amazing, wonderful
byproduct of the brewing industry.
Of the best athletes in the world. However, it is my opinion, who absolutely loves the stuff. The other opinion tends to be that it is the worst thing that has ever been invented. It outstrips, you know, the invention of nuclear waste, of world famine. It is the worst thing ever. And that is why it's a Marmite course, because people either love this course or they hate this course. It's one or the other. So that's the reference. There you go. That is what Marmite is. That is your
savoury
spread that people either love or hate. And the advert was love it or hate it. That was their general strap line. So therefore, there you go. Everybody now knows what Marmite is and why we call it a Marmite course, because you love it or you hate it. So there we go. Along with things
all other spreads are available,
but are not as good. I'll put that out there now. Marmite, if you want to sponsor me, please do, but you're going to have to now make a gluten-free version. There you go. And you see, Emma obviously not wanting that.
No, I don't dislike Marmite.
Are you one of these very few people who don't love it or hate it? Do you know what? There's some serious thinking going on there.
There is. I quite like a Marmite and cheese sandwich.
Oh, there you go. Right, back to the racing. It is definitely... so on a Marmite course like this, on a course, I always think, I do wonder whether the riders are sat there taking it really steady. They're not pushing on. They're all trying to pace themselves at the right pace, not putting in too much effort. If you put in loads and loads of effort on the way in to the line, then you're going to burn yourself out. And I think in some ways this is that quiet. It's that lull before the storm. It's that quiet that comes in. You know, you just wait for the storm. It just dips down, the pressure builds, but people don't want to go too hard. Probably the exception to that is Michael Vink, who just can't help himself, let's face it.
Well, Michael Vink was indeed off the front. It's looking like, I'm trying to find him in the list at the moment. I think he's been pulled back in.
Yeah.
So Tim Cutler now the rider on the attack at the front of this
Yep.
Category 1 pack. Popovic is there, Vujasin is there, Al Hamadi is there, Knudsen is watching what is going on. So is Walter. So these riders now pushing on as we come up to the next bridge here, and you can see just continuing to pop up and over these wooden bridges across the river. So not quite 10 kilometres yet done in this Category 1 race. They were the last riders away today on qualifier race number 1 on the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club. It is Cutler leading the group now. Cutler, third place finish on this course last time out. He knows he is capable of a strong finish here, but Knudsen and Fawcett riders, and Popovic is here with Safrazad and Kaminsky. Koinstinen is there too with Talbot. This is a packed field today. Let's not forget Van Elst, who had a superb ride in the finals, the May finals last week, where the Hebelhaft was the final climb. Van Elst finishing in third, so obviously on form at the moment.
Now you can just see your riders stretching their legs out here at the end of segment number 2. This gives us our fastest time, I think, through segment 2. The riders really motoring. We're going to take a look at that segment time. It was the SS rider, the SS Express. It is the rider from the UAE clan team who takes the fastest time through there, 2:08.124, just in front of 0.44 of a second in front of Al Hamadi, then Van Elsvold, Walter, Popovic, Talbot, Cutler, Knudsen and Vink, the top 10, but nothing really separating those riders. And that's just the little flurries on segment number 2, which is, of course, 1.5k long. Big gaps we'd expect. We're talking more like 7 or 8 seconds or so. So the pack moving in and through there, putting in some pretty quick times, but pretty much the lull before the storm, before we get to the big climb. However, 19.3k in, you can see that we have Category 3 riders catching some of our Category 4 riders here, and the junction about to be made. Wayne Smythe on the move at the moment. So the Category 4 group still staying clear in the lead of Category 4, being chased by Category 3. Lots of pushes on this long straightaway, and they're not far on the climb. Category 4, though, Alex Pledger, he's at 21.8k. He's still got the gap. He's still in front, and he's about to hit the climb. So this is where we see, was this to get some sliding room because he's going to go backwards, or is this a concerted move to give him some extra advantage on his way up? Now, meanwhile, Category 1, guess who's on the attack?
Well, it's a concerted move by Michael Vink. He's pushing on again, just coming up to the 12-kilometre mark. Tim Cutler is the rider marking the front of the group, but his teammate Knudsen also there as well. Vujasin and Kaminsky and Safrazad are also there, watching the front of that group and ensuring Vink doesn't get too far away.
Yeah, just making sure he's not going too far. And this is one of the things, isn't it? When you're part of the UAE clan team, or you're a big name like Michael Vink or both, then you are somebody who we're going to close down. You know, somebody who we're going to go after, somebody who we want to pull in and grab back.
Well, absolutely. You do want to bring him back, but take a look at that group. They are one tight pack at the moment. It is not stretched out. So it's a tight group of riders just following, and Vink off the front of that group. And now I think by the look of that screen, passing some of the back markers in the Category 2 race.
Well, they're just going to make the way through. This gives a little bit of a chance to springboard, to hitch a lift, to get a little bit of draft. And you can see the responses coming. The chase is on. The riders trying to use the confusion of catching other riders to go clear. Now, this is Michael Knudsen onto the heels of Vidar Mayer. He's not going to let Mayer go clear and go up to make it one-on-one with Vink. And Knudsen has gone over the top. Now Cutler comes back in, so that chase behind being closed down by Michael Knudsen as they come in and through.
Yeah, so Knudsen chasing down here, but this group all still coming back together again. So 1 or 2 riders just dropping off the back, I can see there. But it is indeed a large pack of riders, and they are chasing a lone rider at the moment, and that is Vink.
So you can see the riders on the way through. All of our groups are motoring at Category 1, approaching a third race distance, but the third race distance on the flat, key moment on this race when we hit that big mountain, 21.9k in to our 45-kilometer race.
Yeah, so the bridge is now near enough over for this group. It's got a flatland section now to continue as this pack continue to ride across the road at a steady pace here, and they've got Vink down the road. So Al Hamadi is the rider we are in with at the moment. Vink is down the road. That is the Category 1 race on the left-hand side of your screen. On the right-hand side of your screen, that is the Category 2 race, and it is splitting here now around 16.5 kilometres into this race. Now, we had a group of 18 riders in this Category 2 race, and it's looking like we've got an attack here, and this attack is coming from ease, with Simmons now coming over the top. Kranich is there, so is Spratt, so is Kirchner. It's a 6-second gap back to Baltazar and Oviedo. So the gaps now coming in this group. We've got two groups on the road. We've got a large group here, which is the chasing group with Baltazar and Cadiz in there. Graves is in that chasing group as well, but it's Spratt and Kranich and Simmons who are the riders down the road, and they are a short while down the road. It is not far now. It is 4 seconds the gap, and the attack and the push coming from Baltazar on the front. So whilst the Category 2 riders chase down that breakaway group of 4, we've got a stretch on the Category 1 group. Now, Michael Vink is 9 seconds down the road. Mayer is the rider here we are looking at, who is pushing on through the caves and over the bridge at the moment. SS is marking him. Fawcett is towards the front of this group as well. So is Knudsen and Bjorkland and SS. Van Elst stretching this group now. They were right the way across the road on the entrance to these caves. Now across these bridges, it is a longer line of riders. And this group of riders are chasing the rider in the distance. That is the lone yellow jersey of Michael Vink. So with Vink in one and a chase group here, this chase group, around 18 riders in this chase group at the moment. We have lost a number of riders off the back of this group. In fact, Carsten Mayer is one of the riders who has recently been dropped. So Mayer and Dahn have been dropped. Miller's been dropped. But Cutler, Howell are still in here, which is great to see. So Che Howell are coming up from Category 2 into Category 1, still in this chasing group. Fabulous effort from Howell. Kaminsky and Volk in here too. So this group of chasing riders, the rider they're chasing is indeed Michael Vink from the UAE clan team, but they are chasing, and they are chasing strongly. So the Category 1 pack continuing to chase Michael Vink, the lone rider in that Category 1 group. The lone rider in Category 4 are riders in the lead on the road at the moment is indeed Pleasure. Now, Category 4, our first group of races to start today. They've been racing for 42, coming up for 43 minutes. They are well and truly now on this first Category 2 climb. Pleasure had broken clear and has established a good gap on the chase group. You can see now coming round that corner as Pleasure turns his head, he can see Zanaska, the rider, bringing the group back to him. So Zanaska is the rider bringing the group back to Alex Pleasure. We've got Fernandez in 3, Nowak in 4, Nunez in 5, Barla in 6, Milano is there as well. So is Gonsolin. He is there as well as Martinez, Decker. It's a big pack of riders all coming back together now in this Category 4 race. So as our Category 4 riders are well and truly now onto the first Category 2 climb, the group coming back together. back in with our Category 1 riders, and Vink's lead now 32 seconds. So Michael Vink now with a 32-second lead in this Category 1 race. This pack, this chasing pack, looks as though it is getting smaller in size, and we'll get a good notification of that as we come through segment number 3 now. Segment number 3 is a 3-kilometre segment, and what you can see there is the end banner, so that green banner indicating the end of segment 3. And we can now see these Category 1 pack coming through that end of segment. It'll give us an indication of how many riders are in this chasing group, and also who has gone through the segment the quickest. So it is indeed Michael Vink who sets the fastest time through segment number 3. But take a look at the second fastest time. That is our Category 2 riders. So Spratt, Kranich, Von Haren, Baltazar, Gomez, Valencia, Ospina, Oviedo, Angarita, Castano, Cadiz and Graves. That is the group in the Category 2 race, not the rest of the Category 1 riders. Now, to take a look and see where those Category 1 riders are is an interesting point to do, because Michael Vink is the rider in the front of that Category 1 race. Knudsen and Cutler are leading the chase. Kaminsky and Popovic are in there as well. It is continuing to be a chase in that Category 3 field. Just looking down through that segment results, well, the Category 1 pack 12 seconds back on Michael Vink, so Vink making 12 seconds on that group. And just taking a look through there, that is indeed 10, I am counting 20 riders in that chasing group. So a huge chasing pack in that Category 1 race. They have their sights set on Michael Vink, but Vink doing an astounding job to stay clear on the flatlands at the moment as our Category 1 race continues. You can see the distance now. So Vink 300 meters down the road on this Category 1 chasing pack. The Category 1 pack now picking up, I think they've just picked up a Category 2 rider, so you'll see a green jersey in that pack as well. That green jersey indeed just jumping on and staying in that group at the moment. So Vink in 1 with a chasing group of 20 riders 300 meters back. So our Category 1 race not yet on our first Category 2 climb. That climb starts at 21.9 kilometers into the race. This is our Category 3 pack. They are well and truly on that first Category 2 climb at 24.3 kilometers into the race. It's Betty who is leading. Ricardo Betty is the rider on the front of this Category 3 race. Wayne Smythe in 2. David Santiago in 3. They are pushing on now on the climb. The rest of that pack stretched out down the hillside. That was 24 riders in the Category 3 race who went into that climb together. They are spread all over the early stages of the mountain, and you can see on the top right hand corner of that shot, they are all across that bend in the road. So the Category 3 race now have the Category 4 riders in front of them. The riders are all moving. So Betty put in an attack there. Santiago in 2, Smythe in 3, Valedras in 4, Alvarez in 5. The riders all pushing back together again and coming back together as the gradient now at 7.5% for those riders. Our Category 1 riders on the left-hand side of your screen are in the flatlands. They have not yet got to the climb. Still, well, just over 2.5 kilometers to go for our chase group in Category 1 before they see the mountain. So making the most of the last of the flatlands, while the rest of our riders now, well, Category 2, they are just about to come to the base of the climb. So Category 3 and Category 4 wheels are going skywards. Category 2 are soon to join them. It's a huge leading group in Category 2. 18 riders still all together coming into the base of the climb. Can't imagine we are going to have 18 riders all still together at the top. Well, while I'm waiting for our Category 2 riders to prove me wrong and the 18 riders get to the top of that Category 2 ride together, the attack has already come. Didic is the rider pushing on now, going into the base of the climb, absolutely laying it down to the rest of the riders. Bjarhead is the rider doing the chasing. Kane is in there, and Spratt and Graves as well. So a real mix of riders at the moment in this Category 2 race. We've seen movement between the categories today, and it is a fabulous sight to see as our riders get allocated out to the categories like riders put together for competitive racing across our 4 categories today. So whilst our Category 2 riders start to fight it out on the base of that first Category 2 climb, our Category 1 pack are chasing the lone leader, Michael Vink. Now, Vink time trialling his way away from this group, and now over a minute clear. So segment number 4, a 1 kilometre segment, and take a look at that. It is indeed Michael Vink continuing to extend his lead on the Category 1 race, who sets the fastest time of 1 minute 26 seconds. Now, interestingly, it's our Category 3 race that went through that segment next fastest in 1:32. So 6 seconds down on Michael Vink. That's Zabata Alvarez. Leading that group through, and that is a large group of Category 3 riders. The rest of our Category 1 chasing pack are behind Category 3, they're behind Category 2, and they were 12 seconds slower than Michael Vink through that 1 kilometre segment. So Vink extending his lead significantly by 12 seconds over that 1 kilometre, which tells me that chasing bunch, well, they are not chasing anymore. They are waiting for the mountain to sort it out, and that mountain will very soon be with them, because Vink is nearly there. So Vink's lead in this Category 1 race well and truly established. He's now 800 metres up the road, continuing to extend that lead. He's got his pace, he's setting a time trial pace, and he is continuing to ride at that pace and at that effort. Take a look at the difference in heart rate. So Vink, heart rate 170 at the moment. He is pushing at 453 watts. Van Elf's heart rate, on the other hand, in the chasing group, 127, 237 watts. Now, that tells the story. That tells the story of Vink time trialling away, setting his own pace and riding away from a Category 1 group who are not chasing. They are riding to the base of the climb to sort out the rest of this race. So whilst our Category 1 riders come into the base of the climb, our Category 3 have caught the back of our Category 4 riders on the climb. So at 26 kilometres, we're watching the leader in the Category 3 race, Ricardo Betti, come up onto Nunes and Bala and Quintero, who are the large group of Category 4 riders progressing up this mountain.
Well, you've got to remember, Emma, this climb with these 2 steps, you can either approach it one of 2 ways, can't you? You can go for really hard on one and then really hard on 2, or you can try and equalise it all the way from bottom to top. But however you do it, you've got to also bear in mind, you're going to get caught, or there's going to be groups coming around you. Getting that draft is going to be critical, because it is quite quick on that transition in the middle.
It is quite quick on that transition in the middle, but it's interesting to see is Pleasure has gone again. So Pleasure's still 10 seconds clear of this Category 4 race as we start to see Category 3 move its way up. So Jose Ricardo Betti, the leader of the Category 3 race, now having worked his way all the way through the pack here of chasers in Category 4, and now closing down Pleasure. Now, I think he's going to bring back the Category 4 Chase Pack to the leader Pleasure and close that gap down just by the fact that he's moving at a faster pace. And you can see Martinez and Santi, no, in fact, that's a Category 3 rider coming through the pack as well. So Martinez, Sanchez and Zanaska all going with these Category 3 riders, and they have indeed now caught Alex Pleasure.
Yeah, that cat came down, and that's one of the things, isn't it, on this course, because those time gaps are generated by the speed of the riders. They do change so quickly, particularly on a climb like this. But as those riders make their way up past the waterfalls, Michael Vink on the offensive, looking very good at 6.9% climb here. That gap at the moment, it is huge. This is surely a time trial for him now.
Oh, completely and utterly. So Vink time trialing his way, holding a constant pace, holding a constant heart rate. The group behind now starting to move. They had a big recovery period. We'd seen the heart rates down to around 127. Now moving up, Van Elst at 165. So the pack now really starting to move as they've got onto the climb.
And it's a bit of cause and effect, isn't it? Is the heart rate going up because they're deliberately pushing on? Or is the heart rate going up because they're hitting the climb and they have no choice?
Well, they are deliberately pushing on because the power now at just shy of between 450 and 500 for Van Elst. It's no longer in the early 200s that we saw earlier. So Safrazad here, Van Elst, Vujasin, Nair, Popovic, Kaminsky, Knudsen is in here as well. These riders now pushing on, and you can see the stretch on this Category 1 chase pack.
Great to see Saeed Safrazad coming back in and racing well here at the moment. Talbot Al-Hamadi moving. You can see Ross Fawcett in here as well. They're going really, really well on the climb. Let's watch what happens as they come up. They're about to catch up to one of our riders. The pressure on one long train.
Okay.
So here we go, the pressure on the group starting to break on the right of your screen. They're chasing Michael Vink on the left-hand side. I'm not sure they're ever going to see Vink again, but this could be the decisive move. Look at the mixture of riders. This is at that moment. Everybody knows when do you have to go. You know that if you're not in this group, is this the key group? It is. SS up here. We've got Mr. X100. We've got Knudsen in here. They've got the teammate down the road, and they're looking to stamp the UAE Clan Team's authority all over the Paso del Alto. They're on part one of the climb, and this is absolutely key. Hold the wheels now. You've got a chance of being in there later. Don't keep with the wheels now. You have absolutely no chance of clawing your way back in again. And this is a long, long climb. Remember, 2 climbs make up the ascent here of Paso Alto. The first part, the first step is 5.5 kilometers long. The second step, it is nearly 15 kilometers long. They are separated between the two by about 3k on the way through, and that is where we have that little downhill. Tim Cutler again, though, showing us just why he is so dangerous on the attack, on the move. 8, I'll repeat that, 8 watts per kilo coming out of Tim Cutler on that attack, and the response has come from Michael Knudsen, who is also over 8. We're seeing Pablo Popovic kicking out. He's really putting the power down as well. Kaminsky trying to answer. Nair is in there. Vujasin is in there. Now, I think the rider that's now missing could well be Ross Fawcett. Just taking a quick look down through those names. And it could well be that Fawcett, he's just about in there at the moment. They really are trying to squeeze their way onto the group. This is Fawcett. So Ross has really got to kick in. Mary's 3 seconds behind him. Bjorklund 4 behind him. And looks like SS, I think he's gone pop.
Well, I'll tell you what, Fawcett must be taking motivation and drive from the view that he's got out of his camper van at the moment. But Walter is there, so is Nair, so is Safrazad and Vujasin. But I think Ross Fawcett now the group going, but he's got company from the riders behind. So a group now forming around Fawcett as this group further down the road push on and push hard.
They are indeed, and this is really doing damage. It's going to be hurting the legs. They're going to be absolutely screaming. The lungs will be burning. They'll be trying to suck up as much oxygen. It's about being efficient as well. You got to focus on keeping that pedal stroke just super smooth. Spin it round. Utilize every single muscle you can to get that drive down and through. This is not 17%. This is not the sort of thing that is going to be over quickly. It's very long. It's a long power climb. So being able to sit there and put that power down, really critical. You can see Al Hamadi revving at 100 revs per minute just then. Still sitting at around 90, super smooth. On the right-hand side of the screen, now left-hand side of the screen, you can see the lead of Category 2. Here we've got Henry Oyce and Phil Graves, Olivier Simmons, Nicholas Spratt in there. A real who's who. Category 2 are really interesting. I'm loving the new mix of riders in there with some of our riders who've been in there for a while.
Absolutely. So the riders being dropped into their correct category and riders moving between categories after the May finals, producing some really interesting racing today. So category 2 at the moment, it is a group of 4 riders, as we can see at the moment. Baltazar and Biarhead just 3 or 4 seconds back. So this is a big group of riders at the moment, all pushing to come together, and we're seeing Ice here push on with Simeons just passing Dario Finati from the category 4 race. Graves and Spratt still in the mix here, as Biarhead is the rider pushing on to try and get back onto that group. So as our category 2 riders continue to work their way up the first category 2 mountain, they're working their way through the category 4 field. Knudsen and Cutler are putting an attack and a dig in here. X100 is the rider looking to go with them. Popovic is there as well. So is Safrazad. This is the group chasing Michael Vink up the mountain.
Well, they are chasing as well, because that gap is only hovering around about the sort of 36-second marker at the moment. It is not extending all that much, and that means that Vink will know that he may well have a lot of his teammates making their way up into the group here, and up to him. Vink on the left of your screen. He is currently climbing his way at 25.95k. He's literally about 210 meters or so, 200 meters between the leader and the chasers behind. He's literally on that right-hand bend in front of the riders, that long sweeping bend that goes around this tight turn, as we now see Al Hamadi squeezing on here. He's on the front, immediately behind him, while you can just see Knudsen going in over the top with the bald head there. So Al Hamadi with the black helmet, then it's Knudsen with no helmet on, no hair, no helmet, super aero look. Kaminsky right in the mix, as is Cutler, and both riders with white helmets on. You just see Mr. X100 with that red bandana making his way up into that group as well. Zach Nair with the red hair, black helmet at the back of this pack. He's got blue gloves on, just making his way up. Really interesting watching these riders coming in and through, and I think they are really pushing their way up here. Let's see who can stay with the group, who can stay in contention. 5 riders, the first 5 riders with the verified prize in each of our categories are the ones who will be getting those amazing prizes that come out each and every week on the Sunday Race Club. Remember, top 5 riders, they're the ones who are going to get that prize, but all of our riders will be looking to put in some great performances here. Remember, this is qualifier number 1. We will have our qualifiers running through the month until we get to our last day, and that will be our finals. Really looking forward to seeing if this group, this dynamic in the groups where they are, produces different winners in the finals too.
Can I just remind everybody, we are only 26 kilometres into a 45-kilometre race, and the main 14-kilometre climb does not start until 31k into this race, and it is absolutely all over the road already. So Michael Vink in 1, 6 chasers behind in this category 1 race already, and they have still got just under 20k to go.
Are you inferring that it's not all over yet?
It is not all over yet at all by a long shot, but boy, are they racing hard today.
They certainly are, and they are doing a lot of damage. I think with the gaps in a bit further back down the mountain. Well, you won't want to stop, watch your digital timing. I think you probably time them with the sundial, to be honest, because this climb is going to do some major, major damage today. I have to say, it would be my bet noir this climb.
Well, this is a steep climb today. You know, this climb, the average gradient over 5.5 kilometres is 6%. Our second category 2 climb is much, much longer at 14 kilometres, but it's only 3.6% average gradient, so it is much more straightforward a climb. It is a much longer climb, but the gradient is a lot easier. I was going to say steeper then, but that's the wrong way around.
It is indeed right. It is a lot easier in theory because it is, of course, a gradual gradient as well. So
you know,
being able to time trial up here is going to be very, very interesting.
Someone's going to message me at the end and tell me that second climb was not easier. But I'll deserve
please
it.
do. It's Viking Ever on social media. Please feel free. No abuse. Just let her know that it wasn't easy. That's fine.
Yeah.
Send a picture of you like curled up in your little pain cave, going, "Ouch, that hurt."
Well, curled up in their pain cave at the moment. You can see here it is the chasing group that have been riding the hardest on segment number 5. Segment number 5, 4 kilometres in length. And this is telling us a story because Al Hamadi, X100, Cutler, Popovic, Savrasad, Knudsen are the chasing group. They are chasing Vink, and they have gone through that segment 52 seconds faster than Michael Vink, the leader. So they are catching Vink. In fact, Kaminsky, who is not in that group, he's the rider off the back of the group, has also gone through faster than Vink. So it is indeed 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 chasing riders, and this is the 6 chasing riders. They are chasing Michael Vink, and look at that. It is now down to 200 meters as we are on the flatter rolling section between the 2 climbs.
And that is a fast section, so that distance will be decreased when they go onto the climb. I can't imagine that Michael Vink has paced this wrong. It may be that he's deliberately had the tactic that he needs to do, a session where he goes harder. A lot of the pros having to combine training sessions with racing sessions and then see how it plays out.
Yeah.
And it might be the case that Michael Vink has been told he's got to go hard and then has got to take a steady go and then attack. It could be that he's got a set amount of watts he's not allowed to go over. It could just be that he's having a bad day.
Well, it could just be that we've got 6 riders in the chasing group and it's top 5 who are going to take prize money today. So 2 of those riders in that chasing group are going to miss out, and nobody is going to want to miss out in that chasing group.
No, definitely not now. Michael Vink pushing his way up through the group, just going up on to the wheel of James Krasnich, and Krasnich trying to respond with Vink as go up on to this climbing section. And this is where you've already got to push it. Look at the scramble for wheels behind Jonas Bjarhed, Ryan Giuliano, as well as Krasnich, all want to be on the wheels of Michael Vink. But I tell you something, that's a bit like trying to jump onto a moving freight train. He's absolutely flying. I think you try and grab a hold of his back pocket for a lift, you're going to get your arm ripped off there because he's gone past so quick behind that chasing group around those turns and heading in as well. They're looking good at the moment. They're still holding that sort of 200 meters or so. You see less now, about 180 meters, so very, very similar distance. But this is about now who will anybody chase. I'll tell you something, this makeup in here, very interesting. Popovic has been distanced, I think, down there. Just going to take a double check of the names. There. It certainly looks like Knudsen in there. You've got Mr. X100 in there. You've got a real mix, and I think realistically, UAE clan team should have this set up in terms of team standings and being right up there. Can they make it count, though? We've seen them work over the riders before. Could be the day today that they're going to do that once again. Tim Cutler will be trying to stop that as well. Yusuf Al-Hamazi, Michael Kaminsky will want something to say about that, but he's got to chase back into this group. It's currently just over 30 seconds down on this chasing group of riders. Remember, our lone leader in Category 1 is Michael Vink. Now, just cutting across to the left of your screens, this is the front of the Category 2 race. They've moved the way up to 47th. Still plenty of riders up in front on the climb in front of them on the Paso Alto. And Baltazar, Graves, Ace, Simmons, they are your leading four riders. They have a gap to Paolo Kirchner. Kirchner currently 17 seconds back in the company of Nicholas Spratt and Co. And this is where the action is coming from. They are currently clear. They are on to the level step, the parts between the first part of the climb, climb 1 and climb 2. And the two sections of the mountain separated by this flat, this slightly downhill. It's not quite FBR, flat bumpy rolling, but it's pretty close. It's a very fast section, as you can see.
Well, talking about a fast section, as you can see, this is segment number 6, and that's a 1 kilometre segment. And after having the chase group put 52 seconds on him in segment number 5, Vink is back on the top of the leaderboard, 1 minute 16 seconds, and faster than our leader in the Category 4 race, who is in 2. Tim Cutler's attack there, putting him into 3rd place. Krasnich in our Category 2 race, with Castano in 4th and 5th. This is all over the shop. Everybody now lighting the match in their own races. We see Martinez in 6th, Pledger in 7th, Valedres in Category 3, with Santi and Smythe rounding out the top 10 through that segment.
And right up there, Tim Cutler, you saw what he's doing in the segment. You see what he's doing on your screens. He's currently winding it up here. He's really putting a big dig. We saw him at 6, nearly 7 watts per kilo in the yellow going in through. He's on the right-hand side of your screen. He really is pushing hard here to try and go clear. He's got Knudsen on his wheel. Meanwhile, Michael Vink on the left-hand side of your screen working his way through, and interestingly, he's got the leaders in his sights here. So Ace, Baltasar, it looks like Simmons are all in sight. So is Graves. So Vink goes up past him, and this is where they're going to try and stay with him as long as they can. Olivier Simmons actually jumping onto the front. The kick to stay with the leader has pulled him along, but now it's Graves, it's Simmons, it's Baltazar in there. They have made this all or one big group. They've got Ace, they've got Kirchner in there, and Spratt. The 6 riders, I make it, in that leading group of Category 2 riders, and every single one of them wants to sit on the wheel of Michael Vink.
They want Vink's wheel, don't they? And they want Vink to pull them up this mountain. The gradient at the moment, 2.9%, so still, you know, draftable, dropping to 2.3, 2.5 as this group continues to move. So Graves, Spratt, this Category 2 pack, tagging onto Vink's wheel, and Vink is now towing them up the mountain. A little bit further back down the road, we are in with Safrazad, and you can see this group splitting. So 6 riders in this chasing group in the Category 1 race. Cutler, Knudsen and Popovic have pushed on. Safrazad is trying to close the gap. X100 and Al Hamadi now 200 meters back, and they are now catching and working their way through the other race fields, and that provides a little bit of distraction sometimes, and the ability to keep your wits about you and make sure you're staying in your own race is really important.
And you can just see here that Mr. X100 with Al Hamadi on his wheel. So the rider with the red bandana, the road captain for the UAE clan team, has got Al Hamadi with him. And Al Hamadi, if you watched any of the action from the Sunday race, remember you can watch it all about this, all of the races for a long time now available. You'll know that Mr. X100 is a past master of pacing himself up a climb. And whilst he might not respond to every single attack, he's got the power and he's got the pacing technique to get back in. And that's what we're seeing. And he will push himself all the way inside out, I think, pretty much to do everything he can to be in the mix at the finish. But it was that pressure from Cutler that did the damage. It was Tim Cutler going on the offensive and really attacking the rest of that group. And that wonderful phrase that the best form of defense is offense, and being offensive is the way to keep yourself riding your own race Well, that's what Cutler's done. He went on the attack. He rode his own pace, and everybody else had to respond.
So there's still 12.5 kilometres near enough to go for this chasing group in the Category 1 pack. Vink is not much further down the road, 140 metres he is up this mountain. So Vink now with a 140 metre lead on Cutler, Knudsen and Popovic, and Cutler now absolutely motivated to try and push on here, picking up to 7 watts per kilo. Knudsen is responding, Popovic is there, Safrazad, X100 and Al Hamadi are the riders on the other side of the split, now really trying to work their way back together, but it's a 4-second gap at the moment, 7 seconds back to X100 as these 3 riders continue to push. It's looking like Safrazad has made the juncture, so 4 riders now in this chasing group, and they are coming up onto Category 2 and Category 4 riders thick and fast now, so the key part here is to try and stay together.
It is indeed. Just seen him go past Florian Dromard himself. No mean climber. He's a fast rider. He knows how to pace. He was really, really strong in the MyWhoosh Championships and looking really good here today. But this group of riders are slicing the way through in pursuit of Michael Vink, and they all want to be up there now. Pablo Popovic just setting a tempo on the front at the moment. I think this may well just contain Tim Cutler's enthusiasm at the moment, but you can see that they are surrounded by Graves, by Simmons, by Ice, by Kirchner, by Spratt and co. They all are the riders fighting out in Category 2 lead. So the Category 2 leaders in with the chasing group of Category 1. The solo leader is Michael Vink. And I'll tell you something, he is coming back, and he's coming back into sight. He could well get caught here, and this is a turn up for the books. Would anybody have predicted that as we came into the climb? Will he respond? Michael Vink currently only a few seconds in front. He went up the road, and we see this in the tours that the teams will often send somebody up the road for the rest of the group to catch. Michael Vink at the moment, still a pretty high heart rate, 174. He's at 63 revs, and here they come. They're going to be up onto his wheels. Simmons and Graves actually have already caught him, and Graves is going to go up over the top.
Graves
here.
and Simmons are the 2 riders in that Category 2 race who have been able to hang on to Vink's wheel. The other riders have dropped off, and Graves and just pulling together. Now take a look at this. That is it. That is the catch. Knudsen, Popovic, Cutler and Safrazad have caught Michael Vink. The leading group in the Category 1 race is now 5.
Look at this, really interesting to see now. So Mr. X100 is the rider who's having to do the work here. Al Hamadi's on his wheel. They're trying to close back down again. So with that group in the front coming back together again, are we going to see a little bit of a truce in front? Can Mr. X100 and Al Hamadi move up? Can Spratt make the most of seeing these riders come in and through? Can Baltazar maybe jump on to the train that he's chasing at the moment? It's going to be a big ask today, but Vink caught. What a turn up for the books. We didn't expect that when he hit the climb. We might have done that earlier on, but I'll tell you something, that really has changed the dynamic, and you can see a real mix of riders at the front. It's not over, and that is dead right here now. Tim Cutler at the moment, the rider who is again attacking. He's pushing here. He's trying to open a gap. Behind him, it's Popovic, it's Knudsen, then it's Safrazad, then it's Grace. What a mix of riders.
It is not over yet. There is still more than 10 kilometres to go in this race at the moment. We are here for the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club. It is qualifier race number 1 in May, and it is an attack after attack after attack. Vink has been pulled back in from the early lead. There are 5 riders leading this Category 1 race, and every other category is just as exciting, as we can see on the right-hand side of your screen. These are the leaders on the road, and this is a 3-up leading group in Category 3.
Wow, look at this. Category 3 are at 37.6k. They're still nearly 3 kilometers in front of the Category 1 leaders. At the moment, they really are pushing on, and this is a great ride by them as they continue to push in through. And I think for me, really important to see that they are really putting the racing down. There's some big efforts going in there.
There are some big efforts going in there from all of our categories today. These race fields are super competitive, and we can see that every time we switch to a different category. Now, this is the leading in category 1 group, as we see Mr. X100 and Pablo Popovic join the group. So what was a lead for Vink with a chasing group of 4, it became a chasing group of 5. It's now a group of 6, 7 riders all together now at the front of the category 1 race. Somewhere in there we have Graves as well, currently leading with Use and Baltazar the category 2 race. So this is the leading group of category 2 riders and the leading group of category 1 riders. They are all together on this mountain, and there is just shy of 10 kilometers to go until we see the checkered flag.
Well, 10k to go here. Well, 10.5 sorry, no, 9.5. I mean, be all
you
right.
need to sort your maths out.
My maths has never been my strong point, as anybody who has watched this for any length of time will know, or listen to me on a bike race at any point. However, with less than 10k to go, there we are, that's nice and vague. Less than 10k to go, you know that the action is going to come thick and fast. They are the leaders in category 1 and category 2 on the left hand side of your screen. Right hand side, though, you can see this is the front of the race in total. These are the riders who are the furthest down the road. This is a mix of our category 4 and category 3 riders. You can see we're just in with Taylor Gonsolin. Gonsolin looking very good here at the moment, and one of the real riders who broke through and really came to our attention during the MyWhoosh Championships. So great riding by him throughout that championships, and he's continued it into the Sunday Race Club here. And I tell you something, Gonsolin at the moment in with those leaders has got to be a threat to riders like Martinez and co. Will he be able to pull this off? Well, they are currently at 37.65k, so they still have plenty of distance left to make a move. But the category 4 riders now starting to see the category 3 riders continue to push on. And that category 3 race, this is really interesting. That's on the left hand side of your screens. You can see at the moment it is going to be Smythe who is leading that out, but you've got Jose Betty there. He's right in that mix as well. So really are pushing in with David Santi. However, behind them, they will know that the Yellow Peril are on the way up. The category number 1 riders are going up and through. Loving the symbol there for the arm in the air, and the being able to use the riders to gesticulate to everybody else, to say to everybody, right, I'm on my way through, time to take a turn, or just hi.
Well, this leading group in the category 1 race contains Safrazad, it contains Al Hamadi, it contains Vink, Cutler, Popovic, and Knudsen. And now, indeed, in the mix is also Phil Graves, you know, because Graves is leading the category 2 race. He's jumped in with his pack and is hanging into this pack to try and put a gap back into Simmons. And Simmons is the rider who is chasing Graves in that category 2 race.
Wow, really interesting, isn't it, this mix here as they come through. So just going to take a little bit of a look at Kaminsky on the right-hand side of your screen. He's just on the right of the screen. We're taking a look at the left-hand side. This is the leaders in category 1, right-hand side. You see Kaminsky chasing hard at the moment.
Yeah, and X100 has just caught that leading group as well. We were talking about him time trialing his way up and over and into that group. So now we've got a big group of 7 riders at the front of this category 1 race.
Well, I think if our riders could read minds, they would want to know what was going to go on, who was going to do what, where, when, and how, but very difficult to work out now. Just going underneath the banner there. So we make our way up here. You can see these riders know that at 37k on the clock, they are absolutely motoring. They know that they have still got plenty of distance to do, but Cutler working well on the front of this group, really stretching them out again. Tim Cutler, not sure what you have for breakfast, dinner, tea, or whatever it is, wherever Tim Cutler is. It was probably he's just had a really good day.
Well,
he's flying.
Cutler's been coming to the fore, I think, as we've seen through April and May. And it has been really interesting to see him coming into form. You know, he took in qualifier 1 in May 3rd place. He took 5th in qualifier 2. You know, he's been continually there or thereabouts making the action and showing us that form again today.
Now, Tim Cutler, he's doing such a good job, and he's really been up there. He's got more and more aggressive. We know he's a class act. We know that he has power. He's got the pace, and he really is finding how the platform race, and they do all ride differently. It's very real feel, isn't it? It's, you know, if you go out and you go ride up a 20% hill, you know your legs are about to fall off. And it's the same here. You ride up a 1% hill, you know it's still going to hurt.
Well, I think the other impressive thing here is Philip Graves in the Category 2 race has hung in for as long as possible in this leading group of the Category 1 race to gap his competitors. And really different race tactics today from Graves, who's seen him move from Category 1, where he was very aggressive early on and then couldn't stay with the pace in the latter half of the race, to being very steady early on in this Category 2 race and pushing on hard towards the end.
And I'll tell you something, he's running on borrowed time. He must be. I mean, he's actually gone. It's a bit like Cinderella and the old Cinderella tale. It gets to midnight, and you know, the carriage turns into a pumpkin, and the horse turns into mice. And Phil Graves has gone over the hour. At what point do Phil Graves' legs turn into spaghetti, and you know, suddenly finds himself in trouble because he's not quite reached witchy hour yet, but he's getting. It must be getting close for him.
Well, you can see the fluctuations in his power in comparison to the Category 1 riders. You know, he's hanging on to the back of the group. He drops down to 3.5 watts per kilo. Then he has to kick to 5 to try and close the gap again. He is really hanging on by the skin of his teeth onto that group, but the damage has been done. He's over a minute now clear of his Category 2 competitors, and it's Tim Cutler who goes on the attack again at the front of this Category 1 race. The group is too big, I think, for Cutler. Cutler, marked by Popovic, Knudsen is there, and Vink, and Safrazad, and X100. At my count, that is 4 UAE Clan team riders in this group.
Yep, they've got the strength in depth, they've got the talent, they've got the team in there. They're working their way through, but they are still, remember, they are still only in the top 25 just, and they're just scraping in the top 25 riders on the course overall. The very front of the course, it's Betty, Smythe and Santi, the 3 riders at the front of the race in Category 3, who yet again is showing that all of these race categories have a real battle on their hands if they want to be in that prize money. Really interesting fight for 5th place actually in that category, because when you look at the riders fighting it out in 5th place, you have got Alvarez and Zapata in there. They are neck and neck, and only one of those riders likely to take away a prize at the end of this.
No, Geraldo is also in there as well, Matt, you know, for that 5th place. So 3 riders fighting for that 5th place in Category 3, with 3 riders fighting for 1st. So Category 3 really competitive. Now Category 4, Gonsolin currently in the lead, but only 4 seconds clear of Fernandez, who is 5 seconds clear of Bala, and Martinez is in the chase as well. So it's looking like Category 4 is just as competitive as the other categories that we're watching today.
And we're in with Taylor Gonsolin. You can see that gap has been closed down. So 2 riders back together again. Bala, Martinez, Zanaska right in the mix as well behind here.
So well
and they
matched.
are coming across. It really is there. That was a massive kick we've just seen from Martinez. He's got back in touch. He's gone over the top of them. That is a proper full-on attack. That's what we love to see. 5.5 watts per kilo. They were all looking at each other. He went for a big dig there as they came over the top. This is the step at 2/3 distance. It's very little. It's minimal. But it was enough for Martinez to go, right, come on then. Let's keep racing. And Adriano Zanaska right in that mix as well.
Yeah,
brilliant to see.
They've still got 4.5 kilometres to go in that Category 4 race, as is Mr. X100 we're seeing on the front. Just Michael Vink on over the top, actually 8 watts per kilo. So Michael Vink putting in a big kick there. X100, I just saw 11 watts per kilo. Absolutely specifically from Al Hamadi, not wanting to let Vink go and adamantly was staying on his little X100, Safrazad, Popovic, all in there. Moving through, Knudsen and Cutler coming up as well. Phil Graves now, I think it is over for staying with this group as they start attacking each other. Phil Graves now sitting 4 seconds back, happy to let them go up the road.
Well, yes.
Wouldn't you be?
I think I would, actually. I initially thought happy, and then I thought, actually, yeah, do you know what? I think I would be, because they've done the job for him. That he managed to stay with them on that section. They're now kicking up over here. Michael Vink, as he comes in, he knows this climb so well, because it's going to level off in a second. Well, let's say level off. It's going to be less of a gradient. And as that happens, he's able to continue to push. He'll try and open some serious time gaps. He's working his way through, and Vink at the moment has Al Hamadi, Safrazad, Popovic, Knudsen in pursuit. And Tim Cutler, I think, was caught a little out by surprise there as they came through, and a little bit of a gap opened between Tim Cutler and this group that he's had to pull back. But Michael Vink is not having this his own way. They are right on his heels at the moment. Behind, Mr. X100 is in the company of his old mucker. It is Phil Grace there. Or maybe it's his nemesis. They are just behind. 2 different categories now, with Mr. X100 in category 1, Phil Grace in category 2. But they are absolutely flying at the moment. They are distanced, though, by Michael Vink, and that's a leading group of Category 1 riders, but they are still motoring. We've seen 30 kilometers an hour on this climb.
Well, they have been distanced 120 meters now, but there are still 6 riders in the leading group in this Category 1 race. They are coming up the 4 kilometers to go. The leading rider in the Category 2 race, Philip Graves, just distanced now by the leading group in Category 1. He's still got over 4 kilometers left to go, but he is indeed over a minute clear now in the lead in Category 2. Further up the road, the lead in Category 3. This are our leaders on the road at the moment. They are at 43.2 kilometres into this 45-kilometre race. They've been racing for 1 hour and 25 minutes, and there is a leading group of 3 still in contention for the win. Category 4 currently at 41.6 kilometres into this race, and that looks to me like a leading group of 4 riders. So nothing is over yet in any of our categories by any long way. As we drop in with our Category 3 riders on the right-hand side of the screen, they are the leaders on the road. This is the chasing Category 1 group, who are continuing to motor their way up this mountain and through the rest of the categories. There are 6, I'm going to say that again, 6 riders in this leading Category 1 group. Prizes to 5th. It is absolutely anybody's game at the moment, but we've got 3 teammates in here. We've got Knudsen, we've got Popovic, and we've got Vink from the UAE clan team. We've got Tim Cutler in here. We've got Said Safrazad in here. And we also have, actually it's 4, isn't it? Well, she says, trying to work my way through. We've got riders all over the road at the moment. And if it's confusing for me, coming through these back markers, it's often confusing for our riders. And we often see attacks coming when we move in through the back markers because of that potential for confusion. Now, whilst the pack go through the Category 3 and Category 4 riders, X100 continuing to time trial his way in an effort to get back to that group.
He is indeed, and he's got to set a smooth pace. We know he can do this. He can do this with aplomb, making his way up here looking really, really smart, making his way up here looking like he has this pretty much down. Now, going underneath the banner at 3K to go goes the leading riders in the Category 1 competition. So coming through the final segment, this is segment number 7, and the fastest time is Safrazad with Knudsen, Cutler, Popovic, Vink, and Al Hamadi basically on the same time. And, very interesting. You compare that to the time to come through that segment versus the riders in Category 3. Bearing in mind that Smythe, Betty Santi, They are racing up at the front of the category 3 now. Phil Grace has gone through 28 seconds down with mistakes 109 seconds down on the fastest time. And that really is, this is why we love these segments. They give you such a window on the race. You can see the fastest times, you can see the people who are chasing.
Yeah, they do indeed. And it can also show you which categories are where by the time we get to the latter stages of the race, because our category 2 field not through that segment, just Graves so far through that segment in category 2. This is category 3 and they are coming up for 500 meters to go. They are going to be first across the line in our race field today.
So your three leaders, Wayne Smythe, David Santi, Josel Betty in here. So Josel Betty trying to stay with them. He's the rider in the back with the white helmet on. Smythe with the blue bandana, Santi with the black, just making his way onto the wheel. Smythe kicking at 6 watts per kilo. This is tough stuff. We are coming up to 200 meters to go, but it is agonizing. This is what it was like last time. It was absolutely critical getting your timing right, but in an uphill sprint, you've got to leave it a little bit later, and boy, are they leaving it late.
Well, Santi's kicked at 8 watts per kilo. Betty is there and Smythe as well. These three riders have been battling it out as David Santi kicks. We've got Smythe behind and Betty in too. Santi's adamant he's going to have this today. David Santi crosses the line. He is your winner in the Category 3 race today on the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club. Betty in 2, Smythe in 3.
What a result there for David Santi. First of all, riders in over the line with Josel Betty in 2. The Moretta's bike team taking away second place in the race. Wayne Smythe taking third place. Colombia, Brazil, and I think that's Australia represented in our top 3 nations going over the line. Great to see that as they come in and through. Now we're going to take a look across at category 1. You can just see that Michael Vick is tucked nicely in this group. We're starting to see some more moves being made here. They are at 43.5 of 45 kilometers covered.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is anybody's race at the moment as Knudsen pushes on. Popovic is matching him. Al Hamadi is there. So is Vink and Safrazad. These riders absolutely skin of their teeth at the moment, pushing that power through the pedals. They all want to cross the line in first place at the moment, but is only going to be one.
There is indeed, and behind you can see the damage that's being done. Mistakes 100 chasing. He's racing to get back into contention. He will want to back that team up if anything happens, and anything can happen. We may be on esports. This may be MyWhoosh, but remember, we've seen people with technical issues. You can have Wi-Fi issues, you can have power issues. You can be riding in the mountains and get a thunderstorm. All those things have happened to people, and it can cause problems. So at the moment, all these riders are looking to back their team up as well as do their individual ride, particularly in the UAE clan team, and they are the team that are now on the attack. Popovic and Knudsen trying to break the gap to Al Hamadi. Al Hamadi's trying to respond. Michael Vink is behind them, as is Safrazad. The race win could come from the two in front, from Knudsen and Popovic, but Michael Vink is not giving up on this either, and I think Michael Vink wants to come across. It would make it a 1-2-3 for the clan team, but he's bringing Al Hamadi with him. In fact, Al Hamadi is throwing Michael Vink at times.
Well, they've got 650 meters to go, and it is Al Hamadi who is coming back to Knudsen and Popovic. He is not letting them go. Safrazad and Vink are there as well. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 riders still in contention here as 4 of them are side by side. So Knudsen, Popovic, Safrazad goes into the lead. Al Hamadi is there, and it's Vink who's 1 second back.
Well, look at this. This is going to be really, really tight indeed between the teammates here on the road. They're working their way around the side of some of our riders in Category 3. They're the riders in the blue jerseys, but our Category 1 riders should have the matching of them for power to power as we come into the finish. The kick is starting to unwind here. We're at 200 meters to go, and you can see 3 riders pulling clear here. There is a guide to be a Knudsen in in the mix. Al Hamadi's looking to kick as well. It's going to come down to who's got the final boot of power, who's going to hit the floorboards. It's going to come down to the line. Who's it going to be? It's so tight. That's going to come to a photo finish. I think it's Pablo Popovic who's taking it from Knudsen by fractions of a second.
You do not want to know how close that was. That was astounding between Popovic and Knudsen. I have it on my screen as 0.06 of a second.
Oh, 0.6.
That is not even a tyre width.
That is nothing, is it? What a ride. Now, the rest of the riders coming in. Michael Vink coming in behind in fourth. It's going to be a fifth place, I think, for Safrazan. I think he just popped Michael Vink on the way through the line there. It's going to come down. Here we are. It's on our screens. He did, I think, get that. So you can just see the results coming in on our live timings. It is Popovic in 1, Knudsen in 2, Al Hamadi in 3, Vink in 4, Safrazad in 5, of Mr. X100 in 6. What a ride. Tim Cutler, aggressive all the way through that race, getting 7th place here today. Brilliant riding. We are on the climb. We still got category 2, actually meant to be on the way in and to the line. But I tell you something, this is one of those courses, isn't it? It builds and builds to an absolute crescendo.
Absolutely on the edge of my seat in that last 700 meters in both of those races that are finished in category 3 and in category 1. What racing we have had today on qualifier race number 1 in June. Colombia has just kept giving.
It has indeed. So a quick reminder, please, guys, remember, jump on to those race results on the MyWhoosh.com website. Don't forget, of course, you can catch up with us on social media. Emma, where can we find you?
Oh, you can find me at Biking Emma on Instagram.
And you can find me at Matt Fixer Pain. Don't forget, of course, to jump on board, subscribe to the YouTube channel, to the Twitch TV, MyWhoosh live channel. Make sure, of course, you catch up with all the videos coming out. We will be back next week for qualifier race number 2 and another great course. But in the meantime, please, guys, jump on board on MyWhoosh. We hope to see you out and riding. So from me, Matt Payne, from Emma Martin here in the Full Speed Event Studios, from all the team at MyWhoosh who put together this amazing race series, stay safe. We'll see you again soon. Goodbye.